with Intention podcast where we bring you stories from around the globe. Hello, and welcome back to another episode on Rise and Thrive Mornings with Intention. And today I have a wonderful guest with me, Jeff Mudd, with us. Welcome, Jeff. How are you today?
Doing well. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. And Jeff, please tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from, please.
Well, I grew up here in South Bay, Chula Vista, San Diego, California, and I've been here most of my life, if not all of it. And um, two boys, married, boys that are off on their own, grown up now, got their own lives. And I semi-retired from owning a home improvement company, which I sold last year. And I still am part of a termite and pest control company. I'm the licensee for that. So that keeps me a little bit busy. But my real passion right now is promoting the construction trades to young adults, having my own podcast and interviewing guests of mostly home improvement contractors, but some schools and nonprofits. So that's been really fun.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Sounds like really wonderful life and ideas you have. So let's get into it in more detail. So one thing, Jeff and I are actually together in the Never Give Up book, collaboration book. So Jeff, please, I read your chapter is wonderful, and please tell us what inspired you to share the story in Never Give Up, stories of perseverance.
Um, that was really an interesting journey for me, writing my chapter for that. One of the things I've always lived my life by is not giving up, not caving to, circumstances, challenging, the rules in business. Um, but that chapter was really looking back on it and reading the whole book. I'm the only man in that book. Every other chapter is a woman. And I find that quite interesting in the sense of approaches. So every lady in that book, every woman, every girl that wrote a story about their challenges and how they overcame it. I started in from a man's point of view. How do you solve the problem? Not that I had one, but how do you solve it? How do you persevere? How do you, reach your goals? And it was a completely different perspective on um, going into that book.
I know,
So,
I noticed that too when I was reading it. It's like, oh, okay. I
so,
like that.
so
Yeah.
So from a man's perspective, oh, there's a problem. I need to fix it. Well, and then in a book, I took that same principle. I told a little story about, one of the major problems that this, world has had in World War II, and the attitude and how people came together in Britain and America with their attitude to help solve a major problem. Winston Churchill. So I told that little story, and then I came in and I gave two basic approaches about step-by-steps to solve, your problem of not, or maybe not your problem, but your lack of drive to reach your goal. So here's the different steps that you can take to do that. And so
That's awesome.
complete different approach on that. So in retrospect, I would probably do a little more communication with the publisher on how to approach things like that.
Yeah. So can you share maybe a specific moment in your journey where when you felt like giving up, but found the strength of keep going no matter what? Is there something particular in your life you had to go through that you'd like to share, of course?
Well, I'm going to do a little self-promotion and the why behind that. So I had a home improvement company, and like many contractors, there was a lack of labor. You advertise on Craigslist, that didn't work. I advertise on LinkedIn or, Indeed, and various things. And I just wasn't getting the responses I needed to fill positions to get the work done at my company. And I think my attitude was, let's get mad. Let's find a solution. And I started like digging in for a few days on that. It's like, well, I can start a podcast talking about the solutions, and that might inspire some young adults to get into the construction trades, and that'll help solve my problem as a contractor. Um,
Wow.
it, it didn't quite do that, but hopefully in the long run, that will.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that was the why behind the trades podcast. Okay, I was wondering about that, but
Instead of getting mad and chewing out, the places I'm paying to advertise, it's like, what can I do? And
yeah.
that's something you can do.
Exactly. So in the chapter you also talk about goal setting, and its importance. Can you give us some key tips here about goal setting, how to go about it? What would be the first step you would suggest to somebody?
Well, I'm going to give somebody a plug. Greg Reed with Secret Knock. And I really like what he said. I keep it on my wall. A dream written down with a date becomes a goal. A goal broken down into steps becomes a plan. Plan backed by action makes your dreams come true. Three different steps. Now, how you get to those, break each one of those down is a whole other process, and there's lots of ways to do it. But um, that still has affected me in my business life for the last 10 years. I had problems. How do I fix them? Instead of getting mad, get up early, the drive to do it. Not giving up, circling back the next day. If you have a bad day, you might not get anything done, or a bad week, you might not get anything done. But if you always have those goals written down and they're important to you enough to circle back, you'll eventually find the way to do it. I'm not an expert on goal setting or, you know, how to fix things. I just know some of the things that have driven me
Mhm.
to,
Yeah.
to push myself.
Yeah. And that's true, like there's I would say like 101 of course and more tips and tools out there, but after even personal research, I find that you really have to sometimes sit down and really work on what actually is going to work for you, because the tools will be great, but not everybody will resonate with exactly what it's written. You have to find your own way, your own strength. What for me, maybe meditation will work, but for somebody, maybe sitting down and reading for half an hour and then reflecting on something might be the key. There's so many different tools out there. I think it really has to resonate with the person in order for them to truly embody what they want to accomplish.
I agree. I agree. Everybody's a little bit different. Everybody has different lives that they're leading right now. You can take an executive that has everything already outsourced, but he still feels capped on what his next goal is. Well, he's got the resources to help move that plan forward if he's clearly defined on what that is. And you take it back down to a 25-year-old that just started his own business and he's working 15 hours a day and barely taking care of his family or spending time with them. And he's completely overwhelmed because he's doing everything himself. You're going to have completely different perspectives on how to get to the next step.
Yeah, exactly. That also is very important to know, right? Because not everybody's on the same level, or, just starting out, maybe, yeah, just like you said. So tell me, what personal habits or routines have you developed to stay focused and motivated on your goals, both in your career and maybe personal development as well?
Well, I think part of what I try to do every morning is um, get up, do some physical activity, whether it's yoga or lifting weights. That helps fire my body up and the brain in the process. And that's difficult. It's a challenge for me, but I try. The other part is I have things posted on my calendar on the night before on what I'm doing the next day. So I know, wake up in the morning knowing clearly these are the tasks that I need to accomplish during the day. And I'm not fumbling about trying to put out fires as much.
Mhm.
I'm trying to avoid the fires by being proactive. So I think that's one of the things that's helped me a lot um, in the last quite a few years now.
Mhm. And you do that consistently every day or every now and then, would you say? Or are you very like by the book every day, X amount of time, you know?
That's a real question, a good, really good question, because it's not every day. One of the things that I do in my podcast is I get to travel. So in the month of September, I was had the opportunity to go to the Defense and Automation Expo, like gate controllers and stuff, at South Point in Las Vegas. So I walked around and spent quite a bit of time there. But I'm in a hotel room. It's kind of hard to do all the morning routines that I would like to do there. Then I went back 2 weeks later for the mining expo, and that was uh, really insightful to me. I didn't know anything about mining. I've built fences before, so I kind of have a clue, but never done anything in the mining industry. So I'm really excited about circling back with all the great people I met on that. But the same problem was I'm in a hotel room, so it's really hard to, I was able to exercise, but I really didn't have my laptop's dead. Didn't have the opportunity to do some of the financials and the other things that I would do on my laptop, social media posts and things like that before I started the day. But I still had a clear plan on what I was doing the next day, even while I was over there.
That's awesome. So where have you like have do you travel across USA or is it just these expos or like what is your goal when you travel? Is it just the expos or you want to see, the country and then see what else? Tell
I'm,
me
I'm
more
gonna
about
say yes.
that.
I'm going to say yes. So one of the things that on the podcast was when I started this, and I actually have a co-host. He's 30, half my age. He's a DJ, and we met at a networking group that I was involved in. Um, but one of the things that I was really clear on with the podcast is I wanted to do some good in my life, and I'll give back a little bit, make an impact to at least young adults. Um, Hopefully on the way, my guests are helping other business owners with some tips on their business. That's a bonus. Um, but I also wanted to travel. So, uh, like I said, Vegas is easy when you're in San Diego. You can fly there, drive there. It's pretty easy. But in November, me and my co-host Danny are going to the Pool and Deck Expo in Dallas, Texas.
Wow.
Danny's gonna fly home. I'm meeting my son in Nashville, a short hop over, and we're gonna do a 4, 5, 6 days of vacation, meet some relatives over there, and then fly home. Um, the first of the year, I get to go to Clearwater, Florida, on the west coast of Florida, and that is for the deck industry, National Association. No, that's not it. NADRA. Deck. Oh, anyways, decking industry. And they will have their annual award ceremony there. And I've been lucky enough and blessed enough to help be a judge on that for a couple of years. I don't know if I'm going to, they pick the judges at the end of every year. So it'll take a little bit of time to do the judging, but just full of great people. I've done a lot of decks in my life with my last business. So it's um, something that's really passionate to me. It's great people. So yeah, I get to travel.
That's awesome. The reason I asked because traveling is also a big part of my life. And that's why I wanted to hear a little bit about that from your travel and business and everything. And it's really inspiring. And because sometimes it gets for myself at least, it gets boring to sit in one spot. I always go somewhere. Every year I make a point to go somewhere. I have a 5-year-old daughter, so
Okay.
I don't go as much as before, but I still do. Maybe I'm not going on some crazy safari trip like I like to right now, but eventually it will be coming up. So like more safer trips you could say right now with me and a 5-year-old. But it's a lot of fun to go out there, get to know more people, see amazing places, I think, that's what life is all about, getting out there and exploring as much as you can, even while you trying to run the business. I think it keeps you young and young in spirit and heart.
I 100% agree with you, and hope you have a very good time with your daughter on your
Yeah,
next.
thank
Yeah.
you.
One of the
Uh,
other things I do is the International Builders Show. Um, this coming February, it's in Las Vegas again. But the following year, 2026, it's in Orlando, Florida. So I've made the goal when the show's over, me and the wife are going to drive and vacation for a week or so in the Florida Keys.
oh, wow.
Since I'll already be there.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Might as well, take that opportunity, right? I'm the same way. Like I remember I went to Central America one time with World Vision Canada to El Salvador to build homes. And I'm like, I'm already this far from home. I'm in Central America. I want to explore a little bit more after our project. So I went across to Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, and then from Panama I flew home. I'm like, I'm already here. Might as well see a little bit more, right? Who knows
That's
when I'll have the next chance to come be here. So it's a great opportunity to see what else is around wherever you go. So that's amazing. I know you guys will enjoy it. Can you tell me about a time where maybe you inspired somebody because you never gave up, or was there somebody you can like a story where you really helped somebody and made you feel so good?
well, actually, I've got one that just very recently happened. So I have some property, vacant land, outside of San Diego up in the mountains by Boulevard. And I have some projects out there, and one of the fellows that lives right down the street for me needed some extra money. He's, married, got a couple kids, and, you know, didn't have a real high paying job. So I didn't lecture him, but we did have the opportunity to talk driving up there and driving back. And we did that for 6, 9 months. But just recently, he was able to quit his job. He got another job, and he's only been there like 60 days, and he's done so well that they gave him a $10 raise and took him out of the warehouse job that he applied for and he got to be able to work on the crew. And, you know, just talking to him and his wife, and even the kids recognize it. They're young kids that daddy's doing much better. We're not scraping for food anymore. How much that, hopefully the little bit of inspiration I gave him was enough to get him to take the time after work to go apply for another job, and it's really paid off for him. So I mean that's just happened in the last few months to see that
Wow,
nation of this young man.
that's amazing.
And it is really cool.
Yeah.
So I lost my helper though.
Wow. I love that. And that's why we're here, right? To help others to inspire, whether it's through finding a job or just talking to somebody, connections, right? So I absolutely love that. So tell me, from the books, from the podcast, what is the key message you want our listeners or readers to get in regards to never giving up and goal setting? What would be a key tip you would give to our listeners?
However you need to do it, whether it's meditation, business coaching on the other end of the thing, is have some key goals. If you're 25 and it's kind of hard to set a goal for what you want to be at 55, but you definitely can do it what you want to do in the next 5 years. Write that down. Look at it every day. Make baby steps. Write down the baby steps, you know, of getting to that. You would much rather succeed and take twice as long to do it than to fail and give up because you didn't put in the effort. So you have to know where you want to go, whether it's in business, your personal life, your health, your relationship with your spouse, the relationship with your kids. There's always room for improvement. And one of the ways you can improve is just define what the goal is.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. And to our listeners, in this video, we will post the bio and information how to get in touch with Jeff Mudd. So everything will be posted once this podcast is released. Now, in the spirit of this podcast, its name, of course, Rise and Thrive Mornings with Intention. Jeff, how important do you think it is to set the intention? I know you've talked a little bit about this, but in conclusion, how important do you think it is to set intention for the day?
I thought I like to start the evening before or the end of the workday before. What is my intention? What are my goals? What are the tasks that are most important that I get done for the next day? I hate waking up and like, I've got 100 things to do. Which is the most important one? You're already overwhelmed. You're already starting the day off confused. You're already starting the day off, you know, unorganized. Do it the night before. It's been so successful for me. And you can do that on a calendar, a basic calendar. Have the 3, the 5, whatever is appropriate for you, tasks along with appointments that you have to accomplish the next day. And if you do that consistently, you will make a huge impact in your life and your goals.
Awesome. I love that. Well, thank you so much for being with us here today. And thank you to everyone who's listening. I hope you got some insights out of this wonderful podcast. So, Jeff, thank you so much. And to our listeners, have a beautiful day. Thank you so much, everyone. And see you soon again.
I enjoyed it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Take care, everyone.